wanna start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love. I start my day with love. Wanna start my day with love. That's what I get more of, is love.
Welcome, Jennifer and Hetty and Dave and Mandy. This is Wednesday Wisdom. This is Beverly Pryor. AKA RevBev. Or as Mandy said the other day, she wants to call me Revy Bevy, but that can just be between us and whoever else listens to this video. So we've been talking for a few weeks now about Ho'oponopono. And so today we will sort of wrap up. We'll watch the last segments of the interviews with Dr. Yulin, and we'll have a little discussion that follows. So Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian word, and the prayer itself contains these phrases: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And when I learned it, it was, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you for forgiving me, I love you. But these four phrases are so powerful. We rarely hear someone sincerely say, I'm sorry, and mean it. You know, I mean, most of the time people are justifying whatever behavior it is that maybe made you uncomfortable or offended in some way or hurt your feelings. Please forgive me. People don't use that phrase very often either, because that sort of implies that we need forgiveness and we've done something. But if you think about it, it only means please forgive me because something you've judged about me or something I've done. Thank you. Of course, we hear this a lot. And thank you is really, it's Meister Eckhart said centuries ago, if the only prayer you ever said was thank you, that would suffice. And that's true. I mean, thank you in and of itself is a prayer. And of course, I love you is not used enough, in my opinion. Some people think, oh, it's overused, especially people who know me might think it's overused because I say it a lot, but I mean it. I don't mean it in a casual way, and I don't think it has to be reserved for special occasions or withheld. That's the worst thing, is to withhold the phrase, I love you, from anyone. I think we should say it freely, and we should certainly mean it. I mean, the worst thing is to say any of these phrases and not sincerely mean them. But they're powerful. And if you know the story, I know Jennifer's new to our discussion, but you may be familiar with the story of Dr. Yulin, who was he still is a psychiatrist who was sent to a state hospital in Hawaii for the criminally insane. And it was one that they just were not helping people. They were not healing people. They were not getting better. And what he did was, because he had this mystical Hawaiian tradition from his family lineage, he stood over the files of the inmates and he said this prayer. And what he talks about in a lot of the video up to this point is cleaning or cleaning on himself. So anytime he was cleaning any attitudes that he might have towards those people and their conditions. And with this prayer, you do this cleaning process. And what he shares is that it lets go of things in your subconscious. You don't have to dig them up and dwell on them and discuss them. It cleans your subconscious of attitudes and opinions and ideas. It cleans your history. It cleans what's around you, anything that influences your opinion. So let me stop sharing right now, and everyone can say hello to one another. And I'm going to find this video real quick. Hi, Hetty. Hi, Dave and Mandy. Hi, Jennifer.
Say it again.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
That's what I was
in
saying.
the background, so I'm going to mute myself most of the time.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know what happened with my bookmark where I had this video queued up and ready, but I can find it quickly, so. It's a beautiful day today.
Okay, now.
How's Carly?
Oh my goodness, she's so adorable. For those of you who don't know, I have a dog, a puppy, and her name is Carly, and I'm crazy about her. She's so sweet. Okay, I found my video, so let me get back to where I can share. And as I said, this is 6 of the series, but I think you'll be able to catch up, Jennifer, pretty quickly. He's pretty simple.
Have a subconscious,
Yeah.
then that's where memories are stored. And
Yeah.
some people say it's the physical body that is the subconscious.
Yeah.
What about a chair? What about what we would maybe call an inanimate object that does not have a subconscious?
Yeah.
Where does it store its memories?
It does have a, this thing is alive. This thing is telling me who sat here, all the people who sat here. This thing is telling me where the material came from.
I think we saw this one, didn't we? Sorry. Anybody want to speak up? Did we see this one?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think maybe we did.
Okay. Let me go to the next one just because it might get annoying to have it repeated. As you all know, I am not perfect and there's always something. Here we go to number 7.
Back to a story, and the story is probably, they have similar stories across cultures. So anyway, this is the Los Angeles story. So divinity said, hello, heaven on earth now. You get this experience. You go, Adam goes, yeah. Eve goes, yeah, wow, incredible. And so divinity then says, now you see that tree over there? That's the tree of knowledge. I wouldn't eat that stuff. You see that apple? I wouldn't eat it because you don't need it. You're already perfect. Well, maybe zillions of lifetime, Eve says to Adam, come on, we got to eat that because I think he's keeping a secret from us. And then along comes the so-called serpent part of the, yeah. So finally, they eat it. And then Jesus, I take that back. God comes along and in his long robe and you can hear him swishing. And then he goes, there's a difference in vibration in this. And Adam says what? What does Adam say? Adam says, she made me do it. She made me do it. And that's the story of women. Abused, neglected.
Scapegoated.
But she made me do it. And so women end up, for example, with menopause, rage. That's rage. That's the kind of stuff that can be prevented, but that's rage.
Menopause is rage?
Yep. Thought I'd just throw that in, yeah, for good measure. Rage.
Prevented by cleaning?
Oh yeah, it could be worked on, but you know, it's better to work on it before than wait till towards the end. All of a sudden, it's like,
You mean the cessation of menses is rage, or the symptom of
it's rage. This,
You're talking about hot flashes and stuff like
yeah,
that.
it's rage.
Symptoms.
Yes. The
Yeah,
symptoms.
it's rage. It isn't, quotes, natural. It's not a natural state. I can't imagine God would create somebody and say, create you and say, I'm going to make you suffer. I can't imagine that. So where did it come from? Well, it came from she made me do it.
So so we have a lot of Ho'oponopono.
You got more than a lot. Yeah.
So that's women's rage towards men. What about men's rage towards women?
Wow, but see now you're moving in a way. The question I would ask if I were a woman, what's going on in me that I can clean this thing up? As opposed to looking outside and say, why did you do that to me? And you should get your act together.
Yeah, actually, sorry, Rick. One of the questions that crosses my mind is, why is it that we have that degree of rage towards each other, fellow human
But you're
beings?
speaking data. You're engaged. You're wrapping this up as opposed to you can let it go. I love you. Thank you. Whatever you can. I love you. But we have an addiction. But the addiction is so intense. We grab things. How come? Have you ever read Chekhov, the Russian short story? That's the theme in all of his stories. How come? Why? Why did they cut down that forest? Why are they doing that? Why is it that we can't get along? Why is it that we suffer when if we were friends, everybody would profit from this? Well, the why is it's old data playing, and we're stuck in it. Yes. And if you grab it like the Greeks do, we're gonna analyze it like I was trained when I got a PhD at University of Iowa. You're going to grab it and try to make sense of it. You can't. 11 million for which you are clueless. And so the idea is Jesus and Moses, all these great sages come along and say, hello, let's go.
So have you set aside your analytical processes?
No, you see, I'm still here. What are you talking about? I'm still here. If I had let that all go, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here either.
If you were going to ask you a really rich question, what question would you ask yourself?
Who am I?
And how would you answer it?
I am infinitely zero. I'm an exact copy of the source, the infinite. I'm an exact copy. That means I'm perfect in every way. My problem is not me. My problem is the data in me.
Are you an individuated perfection?
What does that mean?
Do we have any individuated aspects?
One more time.
Did God create us individually?
Yeah, of course. So God created you, and your rhythm is very different from hers. Your rhythm is different from the chair, of course.
And so even at zero limits, I still have a rhythm that is unique.
Absolutely.
To this.
And you have a rhythm for which then you have a certain purpose for which only you can fulfill. And if you don't fulfill it, then we're all stuck. Yeah. But each of us, like Marvin and me, this chair, we have been given the gift of this lifetime to take ourselves back. What Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true. And who are we? We are like an exact likeness of the divine, which is we're zero infinite. That's what we're nothing. My mother used to say that to me when I used to go surfing and come home late. You're nothing, you're nothing. And now I'm realizing
She was right all along.
That was a good thing, right?
Always listen to your mother.
I mean, she was vociferous about that. You're nothing. And finally, I'm 70, and I'm finally going, wow, my mother had that insight, and it took me 70 years to get it.
Is this, I know that this is a revised version of Ho'oponopono that you work with, and I'm wondering whether or not the method that existed, and I have a small familiarity with the previous version of Ho'oponopono.
Tell me what the previous version is.
My understanding of it is that a group of people would get together if there were misunderstandings among them, and there would be a person standing in as a facilitator, and it would depend upon that.
More like a guard.
Oh, okay. The guard would ensure that a smooth process unfolded so that people would come to some kind of understanding.
Yeah.
In some workshops that I've taken that have been about Huna and
There's no such thing as Huna.
oh, there isn't.
No. That's made up by some white lady person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was wondering if in the previous version, the earlier version of Ho'oponopono, before Hawaii was infiltrated by foreigners.
Visited by
foreigners.
Yeah.
If you think that perhaps things were different, then
Well,
if a society evolved that was perhaps more enlightened.
listen, if you look at across the culture, across all the cultures that we have in this great village called mankind, you will find only two models, and one model is very rare, and that model is you got to go talk to a guru to get to talk to the divinity, right?
Right.
This one you can talk directly. You don't need a guru, you don't need a coach, you don't need a master, you don't need any of those. You don't even need, if I'm angry with him, I don't need him because the anger is in me.
Right.
So why would I come? So the thing I liked about this when I heard about it 20-something years ago was, wow, it's just my own stuff, and I can go directly to divinity who can erase it, you know? Yeah. So the Ho'oponopono that we teach, you're on your own, but you got a good coach called God. Yeah, you can talk directly, and only that force in you can erase. There's no guru, there's no master, there's no pope, there's nobody can erase. Only the divinity in you can do that. So I'm going to talk to why should I go to an in-between? A wholesaler.
So what are your thoughts about that? I love what he said because I heard a lot of things that were very similar to unity principle. You know, that we're our own unique expression of God, that we're, you know, we're that individuation. You don't have to go to no one, you don't have to pray to an angel, you don't have to light a candle, you don't have to have an, you know, a guru, you don't have to have a coach or mentor. I think those are all really helpful ideas to realize that all that power is within you. And I liked what he said about if I'm angry with you, I don't need to go to you about it. The anger's within me. Any thoughts about that, Hetty? Oh, let me unmute you, Hetty.
Since I have heard that so often and read so often, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's no use for me to get angry at somebody because I know it's the way, maybe he meant it, maybe it doesn't. I don't care. It's the way I take it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's our perception, right? Our perception is our reality.
Yeah.
And our anger is actually generated from our own self. Any thoughts, Mandy and Dave?
Sounds good to me. It was interesting though about the menopause because I had a hysterectomy and because my mother had died of breast cancer, I couldn't have any hormones. Boy, was I a rageaholic for a while. And it's really interesting to hear that that's just because, you know, like that's what you expect.
I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that's what he was saying somewhat. And I think he's saying it's it's collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can be what we expect individually, and it can be what we're programmed from centuries. And even he's even saying from that original archetype of Adam and Eve, which that story is not unique to the Bible, to the Hebrew scriptures. It's in many different cultures that story is told as an original story. So we're taught that archetype, and archetypes influence us. They have an imprint on our subconscious mind.
I believe
Jennifer?
that.
Yeah. Jennifer, any thoughts?
Oh, it's great. It's very new. I'm just trying to absorb it, and I'm sure all this will spin in my head later. That stood out to me, what you're talking about, but also the point I think that he brought out at the end, that we don't necessarily need like a conduit for this type of forgiveness. We don't need a place or a person or any authority, that it basically just channels through us. And I love, again, what you started out with, that we don't even need that person with us. And that's very hard to do, because yes, if you sinned, against somebody or hurt somebody, of course you want to say you're sorry, but you can, and then still keep carrying that with you. And that's heavy on the person. I've only read very little about this, but, and I'm sure you'll get into it later, but that it leads to sickness and it's very heavy. I see my mom going through a lot of that, physical things, and she's just started with a new therapist. And I think it is the way for her healing, and all of ours.
I agree, Jennifer. That's a really good point, because there are many people who believe all illness is psychosomatic, and its origin. Maybe not once it manifests in your body. Of course, it's very real, but in the origin, there's some disharmony where that begins. Whether it's anger, whether it's frustration or fear, or whatever the emotion is that brings us disharmony.
Yes, I agree. I wasn't trying to take away from that. I hope no one else thought that. But yeah, I think it brings out pain more. It puts your thoughts on the things that are bad in your life, as opposed to good, when you're holding that pain. And she did have a lot of things in her past, like we all have, but it was a little heavier than most.
Mm-hmm.
And forgiveness, I believe, is the way to start healing.
Well, and for him, I don't know if you know much about this story, but as I mentioned earlier, he was able to, just with this simple, he didn't see these patients in this psychiatric hospital. He simply did this forgiveness through his own process, and everything began to change in this facility, to the point where people were healed and released, and they eventually shut it down. So it's so powerful. I mean, we are literally one, and there's nothing that we do that doesn't somehow have a ripple effect and affect others. And even with your mom, you could do this Ho'oponopono, and on a level, over time, you'll see an effect for her, or you can know that it will happen, whether or not it'll actually be something you can put your finger on. But we're just so enmeshed in one another, because we're one. We're all individual expressions of the divine. So we are collectively the divine. And so anything that we do in healing ourselves and releasing whatever it is, even if we're not aware of it, but doing that forgiveness work, being willing to say, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. I love you puts a vibration out into the universe. So you're sort of, I'm sorry, please forgive me. You're sort of cleaning the slate there. And then you can say, I love you with a fresh slate, so that vibration of love can go out into the world. And that's something definitely I've been working with. I've been sharing with people during these classes, during this period of time where there's been so much anxiety in the collective, I've been spending a lot of time putting just love out into the world, especially if I happen to awaken in the middle of the night. When it's so still, I know that putting that vibration of love out into the world, it can go further and it can go farther and reach more people. And I just send it out for wherever someone may be calling out for love in that moment. And just knowing that, you know, they'll never know it was from me, but there'll be something that positively affects them from it. So.
And
Well,
you don't know who you're sending it to even.
No, I just know that there are people, because I've been that person at times. And you might have heard me tell this story, Hetty and Mandy and Dave, before, but Jennifer might not have. Whenever I was teaching a class in Dallas one time, it was a small class. It was when I was getting my licensed teacher certification. And it was a small class of about 5 people. And I think we were discussing Eric Butterworth's In the Flow of Life. And we were just discussing all the various essays that he had written in that book. And this one gentleman maybe came to 2 or 3 of the sessions, not all 5. And I couldn't even call him by name, and I hadn't seen him in a few months. But I saw him one morning at church, and he said, "Oh, I'm glad I saw you, because I was driving down the highway in Houston the other day, and you just popped in my mind." And I knew in that moment that he was answering a call from my soul, because I said back to him, was that a week ago last Thursday? And he looked shocked, and he said, yeah. How did you know that? And I said, I was having a really bad day, and my soul was calling out. And thank you for, because I had asked him when he said he thought of me, I said, did you send me some good thoughts? And he said, oh yeah, I did. And I remembered the class, and I appreciated. And so in that moment when I was just, I mean, it was a long day of really deep, wrenching, soul wrenching, just movement of energy that needed to be out of me. But he received that message, because he was driving. You know, when you're driving, your mind is pretty blank, and he was there to receive it. And he sent me love and appreciation. And, you know, that moment let me know that when we call out, people are out there receiving that call. And so I intentionally take time to send that out into the world, knowing that it will go to whomever it is. And if he hadn't seen me, at church, I would have never known that moment of connection happened. And it was a call and response.
I believe.
Hallelujah. Well,
Those are great moments.
Yeah, it was a beautiful experience to get that confirmation. Let's watch a little more.
You have a whole team of people, do you not, who do the whole Ho'oponopono work with you?
I'm part of a group of people who we have developed over the last 25 or 26 years. Some of them are coordinators, like my friend Marvin here, who does most of the work. He has to listen to all these telephone calls and get these emails, and I'm glad I don't have to. That's not my part. I wasn't created for that thing. But and then we have also coordinators who can teach, who coordinate teach, and then we have people who teach who don't coordinate, and then we have key people who are key people because of the cleaning that they have been assigned to do, not because of anything else, but they are important people in terms of cleaning. If we can get them involved in the cleaning, we will have an easy result. Yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Yeah.
So these people are particularly skilled at cleaning?
Not that they're skilled, they're the worst people on the planet. Really? They said, okay, let's get the worst people on the planet to do the cleaning. Wow, I think that's wonderful, don't you think so? So, we have the biggest troublemakers in the cosmos helping with the cleaning. Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah. So why, Vinny said, why would Jesus came and said, why would I fall in love, be in love with somebody that already loves me? I'm going to go look for somebody who hates me. So we got a lot of people who are kind of that category who can clean, because that's what they've come to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
You suppose you got that?
No, I didn't.
Can you share that with us?
Did you get it?
Yeah, go ahead, share that with
I
us.
don't understand.
That there are people who so want to clean up themselves and they have so much work to do that their cleaning really transforms the planet because how much they have to clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And without their cleaning, it would take a longer.
They are big
time.
vacuum cleaners.
Yeah. Mangungus. And they only showed up over the last 30 years. But Marvin is not one of those. He's one of those finite. He has that.
I can see that.
He has one of those French.
He swivels, really.
Yeah, he swivels. But he's very good at the swiveling.
Yes.
That's why I showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So Marvin, we haven't let you get a word in edgewise here. Would you like to share a little bit about your experience in doing Ho'oponopono?
Well, I don't know where to start, but it's something that I'm just very thankful for the divinity to give me as a tool to get back to where I'm supposed to be with God. I'm just in awe to have this kind of tool to be able to go back with Him, basically. It just transforms my life, So used to be, I would, for anything that happens, I would look at other people, other than myself, to point a finger to and say, you did it, instead of looking at me.
Right.
So it just changed the whole thing. So it's just cleaning. It's just about cleaning. So that's all I can say.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
And boy, they're cleaning to do.
Tons of them. No matter what you do, there's always tons.
You have people who are signing up, who want to know this or that, and I'm glad Marvin got that area covered.
So you get to just show up and do the work.
Well, but I get to do my part, which is not easy.
Yeah.
Because what you're dealing with is the addiction for engagement.
The addiction for engagement, did you say?
Yes. Yeah. Like you want to wrap your hands around it.
Yeah.
You want to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
And the realization is people cannot help it.
Right.
So somebody's got to get to the cleaning. And so the idea is that's my responsibility, his responsibility. So one of the things that we say to the staff in the class, hello, do your cleaning. Don't be asking any questions at the engagement. But if they're willing to do the cleaning, the class usually goes fairly smoothly. So, because they can catch areas for which I'm not even conscious of, They can pick it up in there. How many people we have this weekend, staff?
We have 4.
Yeah.
Including me, 5.
Yeah.
And then my kids are volunteers.
Yeah. But it's the cleaning that's going to get us through this weekend, because if we're doing our cleaning, then they will get the information directly from the source as opposed to getting it from us.
Lao Tzu once said that to become knowledgeable is to acquire information constantly, but to become wise is to let go of information constantly. That would be similar to Ho'oponopono.
Yeah. So, but more importantly, if you're at zero, you allow everybody else to be at zero, and they get their own information, as opposed to you're thinking you're going to deliver the information. If you're coming from, I got the information, I'm going to deliver it to you, you're going to be in trouble. It's going to be a long weekend. But if I'm willing to clean along with the 5 other people, the room will get what it needs, the chairs will get what it needs. I mean, really, so profound. The floor, the building, like the Sheraton will get it, the land will get it, San Jose this will go out and light up the whole world.
Yes. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Tough to do. Yeah.
There was a point in Zero Limits where you mentioned, where it is mentioned,
I like that, yes.
that when you were doing cleaning, sometimes you would feel pain in your body.
Yeah.
And I've been working with I Love You, I'm Sorry, Please Forgive Me, Thank You for, with a fair bit of dedication, not as much as you probably, but for about 8 months now.
Yeah.
And I noticed times where I would feel, it felt like I would describe it as an energy knot that would congeal and harden and intensify in my body. And as I kept on doing cleaning, that it would sort of dissipate. Is this a common pattern that you...
I think it's different for everybody. Yeah. That's the thing I love about the Ho'oponopono, is that there's no one program for everybody. Everybody is their own program. And so the program is to really erase the data, to get everybody back to zero. And once they get back to zero, they'll be awed by who they are. They'll fall in love with themselves. They'll be grateful. That's like the word aloha for the Hawaiians. Some Hawaiians, I should be careful. Some Hawaiians, when you say aloha, you're actually saying alo means to be in the presence and ha means God. So when people say aloha, you're actually saying I'm in the presence of God. So the Ho'oponopono is to be in the presence of God, and you have to recognize that everything is really God-made. And if you mess around with them, it's going to come back and swat you. Okay? Best to say, ah. Yeah.
What thoughts came up during that segment? Anything?
When I say please forgive me, I'm sorry, but I got out of it. It's that it's really us. I'm not forgiving you. I'm forgiving myself for having that thought.
Yes, and even thoughts you're not even aware of, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's so much in our race consciousness and our collective consciousness that are biases that we're not even, we're unaware. And I think Ho'oponopono is a way to clear that and make ourselves available for that divine inspiration to flow through, as he was talking about. So we watched the last segment?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or do you have any thoughts on mine that you want to share?
No.
Okay, we'll watch the last segment, and then we'll be finished with this 9-session series.
Meditate, Dr. Yulin?
I meditate with my eyes open. Yeah.
There are times when I do meditate, and there are times when you sort of get into a spaciousness sort of state of being where it feels very peaceful and open and connected. And I'm just curious if that is a state of being that would be similar to what you're describing.
Maybe unique to you, maybe unique to other people. Other people will get it differently. We will be teaching a meditation process in this weekend's class, but the meditation is about cleaning. So let's say we take it through, and you sit there, and people. There was one lady in Australia would say, "But what do you focus on?" I said, "You don't focus on anything, but you got to focus on something." I said, "Well, be my guest." But basically, you go and you do the meditation, so that whatever comes up will get cleaned up. As long as you're in that meditation, you can bring it to an end. But as long as you're in that meditation, it's a cleaning process. You're sitting there, and all kinds of stuff will come up. It's going to get cleaned up. As opposed to sitting there and going, "Oh my God, do I have to put up with that thought form?" But not the Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono, everything is about cleaning, including the meditation. That's why I love doing it. I do it zillions of times a day, just so that I can. Yeah. But I only do it for cleaning. I really want to get back to my original state, which is purity of heart. Yeah. But I think the most important question is, who am I? If you have no idea about that, you'll always suffer. You can't get home. You can't get home. I mean, that's the most important question in creation. Who am I? Yeah. So the Ho'oponopono is about saying, "Hello, this is who you are. You're perfect already. The garbage that your experience is not you, just data." They go, "Huh?" And then they go, "Wow, thank God." How about guilt, Dr. Hewland? Data. Yeah. What about, I was doing a class with Joe Vitale, and something phenomenal happened. Something that I was moved by. So towards the end, a man in the back of the room says, how do you, I think, I'm not quite if I'm doing it correctly, accurately. How do you clean with if I have the experience of having sexually molested my granddaughter? I went, wow, there it is. That's the truth, like nobody's business. So I had a chance to clean with that. And he did it kind of like up it came. And I thought it was beautiful. Yeah.
What are some of the most wonderful experiences that you've had over these 30 years?
Probably realizing more and more that this lifetime is really a gift. And it's a gift for cleaning. It's a gift of going home. It's taken me years to kind of realize that this lifetime is truly a gift from the divine. And it's a gift to make amends. And I'm willing to do it. Yeah. I've met some interesting people over the years, but I would say that probably for me is realizing that this lifetime is really a gift. And another gift is the cleaning process. Another gift is identity. And then realizing that we are carbon copies of this pure, perfect source. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have experience of moments or blocks of time where you feel yourself as source?
As what?
As divinity? That being in a state of consciousness, perhaps where you would be merged with your high self, your conscious mind and your high self would open up a window of perception?
I have moments of feeling love for myself. I have moments of feeling love for my children. I mean, a kind of love where you have no attachments. That I have this experience of experiencing God's love for my children. I've had that experience. I've had the kind of experience of God's love for me.
Is it possible that God is the only thing that loves?
Oh, that absolutely so. So God is love. Everything else is a mimic.
I've heard it said that love is looking with the eyes of God and
Yeah.
seeing God.
Yeah, but that's what Jesus said. Seek ye first the God. Blessed are the pure in heart. 0, for they shall see God, but the God in them is seeing God. And yeah, I've had those experiences. They've come and gone. Mostly I feel like caught up in data and so, which I need to think. Yeah. When you travel the world, you're always apt to have a lot of garbage come up. Yeah. Like one of the garbage I deal with, and I clean with it before I show up, and I've been cleaning with it for almost 3 decades. Is this notion that you can come to an appreciation of God by grasping, by through the grasping process, the engagement process. It can't be done. It can't be done.
It's a surrender.
Yeah, not that. For me, it's a letting go. It's taking 100% responsibility to just let go. And it's not easy to let go, because the letting go of for example, some people will say, well, I'm clean, but I don't get any result. Well, as they're talking to me, I'm cleaning. What would we be cleaning with? Intention. So I'm cleaning with intention. The person is cleaning with a certain intention. Okay? I'm cleaning with, when people tell me that, I'm cleaning with, God is not a concierge. You don't say to God, I'm going to clean it. I want this color, this, but I want it to look like this, and yeah, there you go. You look young. So I get to work on that because I didn't realize I had it. And so people will show up in my life if I don't get really stuck in what the hell are they talking about, as opposed to, oh, what's going on in me that's coming up that I can work on. That's the tough one.
Yeah. Does anyone help you clean?
What does that mean?
Do you have someone that either sets an environment, holds space?
I think there's someone, actually there are 2 or 3 people that I work with that we do cleaning when things come up. You know, if there are things that, for example, if a request comes from, like, I got a request from Singapore, and Singapore, there's a banker there that wants us to come. And so I do the cleaning, and then I give that information to 2 or 3 people, and they can do it. And so we can get the information because we're the baddest guys on the earth. So we clean it out, and then to see whether it's correct, it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Not at all. Not at all. I enjoyed it. I'm grateful. Got a chance to clean.
Well, good.
I've heard the questions before.
I'm sure you have.
What thoughts came up for you there?
I don't have to know what I need to clean it, I guess.
I think that's really important because we don't often know.
Yeah, we may think we know, but we don't really know.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many experiences in our life that affect us that we're not really even conscious of the depth of it or the impact, but it carries with us. You know, when she was talking about the energy that would come up, I know when I've done Reiki with people, sometimes they wanted to stop the session because they have physical pain that comes up, but it's energy that needs to move. And even during the sound journey meditation recently, someone said, you know, I felt this intense pain in my shoulder, but I just sat with it and it moved through and it feels much better now. And I've been struggling with that for some time. So that is what happens on an energetic level when healing is happening. Sometimes the intensity, the awareness comes to where it is that needs to move through and dissolve, and then we release it. but we don't always have to name it. We don't have to say, oh, that was that injury, that was my softball arm, or whatever it was. Whatever it is in our life. I love what he said about getting back to the purity of heart, because that's absolutely true. When we can have a purity of our heart, then our intentions are always for the highest and best. And I've quoted many times my teacher, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, who says, you know, if you never judge, you have nothing to forgive. So if we're not judging ourselves, if we're not judging others, if we get to that, if we ever get to that point where we truly don't judge, then we don't even need a process like this. But even Dr. Hugh Lin, who's been working with this process for 30 years, still needs the process, because we're human beings. Even though we're an expression of the divine in our own unique way, we are an expression of God. And as he says, we're that blueprint. We're it in our own unique way, but we're still human. We still have the influences of collective consciousness, our individual experiences, ancestors, centuries of things that come, even they've proven, you know, that some of those things are in our DNA. So the cleaning, but I love what he said earlier about, you know, some of the worst people, they needed to clean because they're cleaning for the whole world. You know, the more they're getting rid. And that brings me back to my Southern Baptist background, where it was always the bad boys in high school who got to come in and give their testimony about how now they're being better. And sometimes it's stuck and sometimes not so much. But. Any final thoughts or questions? We're just at 5 o'clock now.
Good session. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Glad you could join. And we'll have our final one for this series next week. But then I was thinking about maybe in June we have, or July, I'm not sure exactly when we'll start up, because we're trying to figure out how to phase in some reopening. And I don't know when that will happen, because the CDC guidelines is 14 days after the last active case, which was just yesterday in Kerrville. So that could be a rolling target on and on and on when we could actually open the building, but we're looking at that. But we won't discontinue online, even when we open the doors, because there will definitely be a need to do both for people who don't choose to come out just yet. So
I think it's a great idea, Beverly, to have this, because so many people, I think it's easier to come to this class than it is to come to the building and all that. I think it's going to take more people actually physically being in church to know about these classes, but I think you are really onto something. We've enjoyed it a lot.
Well, thank you, Mandy. And I think too, just getting people more comfortable with the technology, that it's not complicated and it's just a matter of clicking. You know, it's easy to join. Yeah. Once you've done it one time, it's easy. But I think, you know, not everybody's as competent as Hetty, so she could figure it out and get her neighbors to come over and help her get it all worked out. And she and Rocio have been good about joining. So Jennifer, it was great to have you with us. You guys, I've got a board meeting in an hour, so send me good thoughts.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Namaste. I love you.
Love you.